JxmyHighroller made a video titled "Using Numbers to Find the Most Difficult NBA Championship Ever Won," aka was this a Mickey Mouse championship or not? Let's get to the video.
On Sunday night, the Los Angeles Lakers wrapped up this long and grueling season with a championship, a storybook ending for LeBron, AD, and the Lakers organization. And now that the season is over, I wanted to take a deep dive into something that has been circulating over the last few days. This championship being one of the easiest to win in recent years. Not only did I crunch the numbers to find out if there was any truth to this claim, the result that I got is one you have to see to believe.
Now, I'm going to say this, okay? I'm not a big fan of analytics and all that, so I have no idea where this is going to go. But what I will say about that 2020 championship is this. You still have to play the games. Just because you look over and see LeBron and AD doesn't mean they automatically win the championship. You still got to play the games. Even though you take the fans out of it, you take travel out of it, you take road games out of it, you take life out of it because there's no family really there at all. You're not really able to have much contact with your family. All of those situations aside, you mean to tell me if the Clippers didn't blow a 3-1 lead and they actually go on, win the championship, that they still wouldn't be celebrating that ring as if it's a regular one? Exactly. So that tells you how legitimate that championship was in the bubble.
With LeBron claiming his fourth ring, the tone among NBA fans hasn't changed much. Some people love to see it, others don't. This was about as predictable as it gets, hence the title of my last video. With many NBA fans saying this season was so different and unconventional that this particular championship should have an asterisk next to it. Or, as some call it, the Mickey Mouse Rec League Championship. But looking at this from an objective point of view, where does this championship run rank all time in terms of difficulty? What championship team had the hardest run to a title, and which championship team had the easiest run? Well,
I was going to say, when I think about it, I think about Dallas Mavericks in 2011. You think about Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, Kobe, Powell, Bynum, Lamar Odom, Ron Artest, Derek Fisher. You think about the Lakers, and you think about D-Wade, LeBron, Bosh, the Miami Heat. That is one of the more difficult runs in the last, 2 decades maybe. I also, 1995, Houston Rockets. They were a 6th seed. The first round they had to play the Utah Jazz. They beat them. Jazz was a 60-win team. They met the Orlando Magic in the NBA Finals, another 60-win teams, and there was 2 50-win teams in between there. I want to say Phoenix and San Antonio. Yeah, so 2 50-win, 2 60-win teams, and you got to beat the MVP along the way, which was David Robinson. I think he was averaging, 28 and 10 that year, something like that.
I started this search for the ultimate championship run and quickly came across this Reddit post from 4 years ago. This Reddit user came up with a simple way of measuring the difficulty of a team's title run by using an advanced stat called the Simple Rating System, or SRS. This stat measures a team's margin of victory throughout the season adjusted for strength of schedule. Basically, this stat quantifies how good a team is. For example, this season the Bucks had the highest SRS in the entire league of 9.41, followed by the Clippers, Lakers, and Raptors. Just like any other stat, it has its flaws, but overall it's a great indicator of how great or terrible a team is. He then added up the total SRS values for every team that each championship team beat in the playoffs. For example, in 2017, the Warriors beat the Blazers, Jazz, Spurs, and Cavaliers. Add up the SRS scores for each of those teams, and the difficulty of the Warriors' 2017 championship run is 13.77.
So this is a tool of analytics used by people that are not going to sit down and watch entire series. They're not going to sit down and watch every game. They're not going to sit down and do all that. Give me the numbers. Let me see how can I look at the box score, look at a team's record, look at their stats, come up with a formula that tells me how difficult it was for this team to beat them. I'm not really with all that, but this is exactly what is happening with this stat.
So now that we understand how this all works, here's the list of championship runs ranked in terms of difficulty. with the 1995 Rockets having the most difficult path to a championship and the 1987 Lakers having the easiest path to a championship. This list only includes championships dating back to the 1984 season, since that is when the 16-team playoff system was introduced. So, with the last 37 championship teams listed, where do the 2020 Lakers land? All the way down at 35th. In the last 37 seasons, only 2 championship teams faced easier competition than the Lakers faced in this season's playoffs. In my last video, I talked
another thought. Okay, let me go back a little bit. So when you look at this list, Celtics. I mean, the Lakers are really spread out, but if I'm the Lakers and the Celtics and we're having a conversation about whose championships were more difficult, all of the Celtics championships are in this one column over here.
Where do the 2020 Lakers? How the Lakers' path to a title this season was no easier than any other championship teams. And I literally could not have been more wrong. Not only was their path easy, it was nearly the easiest path of the last 37 seasons. But let's take a deeper look into some of these numbers. The first thing that jumped out at me was that the Shaq and Kobe Lakers three-peat featured 3 of the top 5 most difficult paths to a championship. That is unbelievable. And even crazier is that in 2001, the Lakers nearly swept the playoffs, going 15-1 while facing the second most difficult opponents in the process. So if you've ever wondered what team was the most dominant in the last 35 seasons, I think there is your answer. Now, if we highlight each decade, then we can see which 10-year span featured the most difficult runs to a championship. And for the most part, each decade had similar levels of difficulty, except the 80s. But this was because for most of the 80s, the league only had 23 teams, which meant a 16-team playoff format featured many teams with losing records. Simply put, the league was still good, but it was super top-heavy with bad teams making the playoffs. With that being said, it's still shocking just how easy it was to get deep into the playoffs in the 80s. So, you know how the NBA has been a bit one-sided throughout recent history in terms of talent level in each conference? Well, this next graphic highlights just that. When graphing the most difficult paths to a championship using SRS scores on the y-axis, you can see that the West has won 4 of the 5 toughest championships since 1984. The West has also won 12 of the 20 most difficult titles in the last 37 seasons. 4 of those 8 titles from the East coming at the hands of Michael Jordan and the Bulls. Here are Michael Jordan's 6 titles. Here are Kobe's 5 championships, every single one of them having a very high degree of difficulty. And here are LeBron's 4
I knew it was coming. Now listen, all right, this is not about Kobe versus Bron versus Mike. That's not what this is about. This proves my point, okay? This proves my point. All of this is just based off of numbers and box scores and standings. That doesn't tell me how difficult a championship actually was. Now, if you want to look at LeBron's path to the finals, you know, going through the Celtics, going through the Bulls, going through the Pacers, and all those other teams in the Eastern Conference, there's some years where it was extremely easy to blow through the East. There were some difficult years. Then you add on the fact he had to beat a 73-9 team. Obviously, we already know about Shaq and Kobe's Lakers. We know Kobe had to go through the Western Conference. You're playing a 50-win team in the first round. We know about Mike and all the teams they were going through, the Heat, the Knicks, the Pacers. We know about all that. But I watched the games. All right? I'm not looking at a box score or a standing. I'm watching the games.
Championships. Now, strictly considering how challenging each of these championship runs were, which collection of championships looks more impressive? At face value, Kobe's rings are easily the greatest collection of tough titles in the modern NBA. Now consider the fact that Mike and LeBron received Finals MVP in every one of their championship seasons, and Kobe won the award just 2 out of 5 times. And for some more reference, here are Magic Johnson's last 3 championships. I've said it before, and I cannot stress this enough. Not every championship is built the same. And when you start considering other variables like who did they play play with, was there any significant injuries, and how well did they play in the finals, you begin to see just how ridiculous it is to base the foundation of your GOAT debate on purely how many rings a player has. Most would agree that 5 rings beats 4, but what if the 5 rings were won on a relatively easy path, while the 4 were won on a more difficult path? And before we move on, I just want to point out that this era of the NBA, the 90s and early 2000s.
Uh-oh. I seen some shots at Magic. Now, me personally, we had this conversation about Steph Curry and Magic Johnson. I want to see those numbers. I want to see them.
Was easily the most competitive time in basketball. Just something to think about. So after seeing just how different each title run can be, one surprising aspect of this experiment that jumped out at me was the fact that the best 2 teams don't always end up in the finals. In fact, rarely do the best 2 teams end up in the finals. For example, in the 2001 playoffs, the Lakers faced off against the 76ers in the finals. This was possibly the biggest finals mismatch in recent history, but NBA fans knew this at the time. However, just how big of a mismatch this was is absurd. On their path to the finals, the Lakers beat the Blazers, the Kings, and the Spurs. All of these teams had a higher SRS score than the 76ers. Of course, this is a rather simple metric to grade how good a team is, but it is not a stretch to say that the Lakers faced better teams at every stage leading up to the finals than they did in the finals. In 2018, the Warriors beat the Spurs, the Pelicans, and the Rockets on their way to the finals to face the Cavs, each of these Western Conference teams being statistically better than the Cavaliers. So think to yourself, how many players and teams have been eliminated before the finals that could have made the finals if they were just in a different conference? How many NBA championships were decided in the Western Conference?
That's a big one.
This is why, although I'm a certified LeBron fanboy, I don't put as much weight into his 10 finals appearances as other fans. I have to consider the fact that during those finals runs, the East was considerably worse than the West, and if LeBron and the Cavs were in the West, they may not have even saw the finals. So just how easy was the Lakers' path to a championship this season? Quite frankly, it was historically easy. But the craziest part about all of this is that in 20 years, no one will care about the details. Just like how no one cares that 3 of Magic's 5 rings were won on easy paths. Just like how the 99 Spurs snagged a relatively easy ring during the most difficult era of the NBA. Just like how MJ's path to his first 2 rings were immensely easier than the path to his last 4. It doesn't matter because it doesn't change anything. Regardless of how you get it, a ring is still a ring. And although they aren't all built the same, they all shine just as bright. Hope you all enjoyed, and as always,
I like that point. A championship is still a championship. All of these circumstances are different, but everybody had the exact same opportunity to go get a championship. You got it, they didn't. Why am I being penalized for doing something everybody had an opportunity to do? If I'm the best that year, I'm just the best that year. But hey, like he said, ring is a ring, so I'm not going to call it a Mickey Mouse championship, even though it is the 3rd easiest championship of the last 38 years. Get this video a like, subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments your thoughts about the 2020 Lakers championship, if it was a Mickey Mouse ring or not. That's one more for the good guys.